What's up, everyone? Andy Drifter here. It's Monday, so you know what that means. It's time for my weekly edition of Card Show Pickups. Starting off with this 2021 Topps Chrome Black on-card auto of 10-time Gold Glove winner, Andruw Jones. In December, Jones is set to make his 7th appearance on the Hall of Fame ballot. You need 75% of the votes to get in. Now, last year, he got just over 58% of the votes. And the year before that, he was in the low 40s. So he's headed in the right direction. If you look at the first 3 quarters of his career, he was a surefire Hall of Famer. What's holding him back is how he finished his career. There was a precipitous drop in production at the plate, bouncing around from team to team, games missed due to injuries, and being out of shape. But I do believe he'll get into the Hall of Fame before his 10 years on the ballot expires. When he was in his prime, he was a human highlight reel out there in center field. 434 career home runs. Now, he did finish his career with just under 2,000 hits. That's another thing that's working against him. But yeah, you can call him a future Hall of Famer. Center fielder, 5-time All-Star, Andruw Jones. Next card up is a 2023 Topps Tribute Baseball rookie card of future AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson. Finished out the year with 28 home runs, an OPS of over 800, to go along with 9 triples, which was good enough for second best in the American League. For much of the season, Josh Young, he had a tight grip on that Rookie of the Year award, but he missed some games due to injury. Gunnar had a strong second half. Speaking of the Rangers, at the moment, they are 2 games up on the Orioles in their playoff series, so the Orioles have to turn things around in a hurry. But yeah, Gunnar Henderson, this is a great-looking card, and he is a star in the making. Third up to bat is a 2012 Leaf Living Legend auto from the Hit King, Pete Rose. If you are a baseball nerd like myself, you know what this man has accomplished in the game. No need to go over his resume. He is not in the Hall of Fame at the moment. I think many of you know why. It's due to his alleged gambling while he was manager of the Reds. It's not alleged, he admitted to doing it. But I do believe at some point he will get in. One of my favorite videos to watch, and perhaps some of you have already seen it, is Hitting Secrets, shared by Pete Rose with A-Rod and Frank Thomas. This was when he was part of Fox Sports and the MLB network. And he talked about the 6 things that he would do when he got into a slump. It's captivating material. You may or may not be aware of this, but Pete Rose, he does speaking engagements all throughout the country. And the way he's able to enthrall an audience with baseball stories, it's something else. He is a talented storyteller. People are divided on whether or not he belongs in the Hall of Fame, but I do believe that time heals all wounds. And at some point, he will get in. But yeah, that is the third card I have for you, an auto from Charlie Hustle. Let's move on to the Octagon. This is a green prism auto of Nate Diaz. He parted ways with the UFC late last year. Not too long ago, he did a boxing match against Jake Paul, which he lost in. I recently heard that the 2 masterminds are planning a rematch on New Year's Eve. I guess Nate Diaz will win that, and that will set up a trilogy fight. Depending on what you read, Nate Diaz has made exponentially more money in these boxing matches against Jake Paul than he did in the UFC, but I do believe he will return to the Octagon. Him and Conor McGregor, they have expressed a mutual interest in doing their trilogy match. Who knows with McGregor what his plans are. He was supposed to fight later on this year against Michael Chandler. Last I checked, no plans for a fight has happened between the two. I was lucky enough to attend one Nate Diaz fight. It was late 2019 in Madison Square Garden. It was the very first BMF title where he squared off against Jorge Masvidal. And Street Jesus won that fight due to a medical stoppage. Nate Diaz was bleeding profusely from above his eye. He's got a lot of scar tissue built up there, so it does bleed rather easily during a fight. He was not happy about that decision. Masvidal was winning that fight on points, but Diaz, he is a cardio beast. He can absorb a lot of punishment and flip a switch, as we saw in that first McGregor fight. So yeah, I do believe at some point he will return back to the octagon. I did have an autograph from Nick Diaz, so now I have autographs from the Diaz brothers. I was so psyched to land this card. This is a Donruss sports legend relic of PBA Hall of Famer Pete Weber. Now, I realize that pro bowling is far from mainstream. Probably a lot of people don't know who Pete Weber is, but if I had to guess, he is the most recognizable of all the pro bowlers. Maybe it's a toss-up between him and Walter Ray Williams Jr. Pete Weber has a more louder personality, shall I say, which attracts fans to him. But yeah, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1998. His father, Dick Weber, also a Pro Bowling Hall of Famer. Weber has racked up over $4 million in earnings over his career. Now, in comparison to other pro sports, that may not seem like a lot, but if you were to make $1 million in career earnings in bowling, that is rarefied air. Pro bowling, that is a sport where you really got to grind it out. If you don't place, then you don't earn. And if you don't earn, you're paying for things out of pocket. Now, the big dogs like Pete Weber and others, once they have earned a certain status, they get sponsorship deals and money flowing in that way. But yeah, his career, there was some controversy, as there is with a lot of the greats. But it was a proven fact that if Weber made the top 5, it's the stepladder finals that only get televised as far as bowling goes, the ratings would always go up. People were always interested to see his antics. Perhaps some of you have seen that Leaf card where he signed it with his famous quote, "Who do you think you are? I am." What he meant to say, he clarified this later on, that he was responding to a heckler, that "Who do you think you are heckling me? I'm the man in this tournament." It just came out that way. But it became an iconic quote. I believe Patrick Mahomes once used it in a tweet. So yeah, a little bit about me. I bowled competitively in my youth and briefly as an adult. At my best, I carried an average of 200 to 210. Now that may seem like a big number, but when you compare it to other league bowlers, it's really not. There are guys out there who would average 225, 230. The last time I bowled competitively was 06, and then suddenly I just lost interest in it. But every now and again, I will catch televised bowling. It's fun to watch, fun to play. But yeah, that is the last card that I have for you, a relic of Pete Weber.